All right, look at the topic today, innovation and technology in PR. Andrew will be coming in later for another conversation. I'm sure you can see that on the image. And my panelists, before I do that, I felt like I didn't do too much justice. I didn't want to read the long profiles. So I'll start with the gentleman on that end. Please, in a minute or so, tell the people what do you do and what are you doing on the ground. Let me use the groundwork for PR. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Oliver Mathenge. I'm a storyteller. That's why I introduce myself. I've worked in the communication industry for the last 20 years. Most of that time I spent it in newsrooms. Worked for Radio Africa Group and Nation Media Group. Currently I'm consulting in communication, where I focus on helping brands tell their stories and coming up with storytelling frameworks so that brands can tell their real stories and their authentic stories. Currently, I'm engaged with Oxygen on a full-time basis, but I also work as an individual through a firm that I founded called Strategist, and there I also do some communication training and also media training for various individuals and brands.
All right, thank you so much, Oliver, and welcome. Let me come to Nyandia. Please go ahead.
Can you tell I like pink?
I can
Is
see.
it obvious? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Nyandia Gachago. I'm a chartered marketer and PR professional. I run an AI creative agency called Minty Lime. We're at the intersection of storytelling and artificial intelligence, where we build programs, we build narratives, we build technically people of sorts using artificial intelligence. And yeah, I think that is one of the key reasons why I'm also here, is to understand how we are all embracing AI in PR. As Mary mentioned, especially being in Kenya and in an environment of politics where you're finding now politics is also being countered PR-wise using artificial intelligence. So I hope we get into that conversation more. I'm very excited, I'm honored, and more than anything, I'm very blessed to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nyandia. I almost said pink, Nyandia, but this is good. This is good. Mary, now, how are you going to introduce yourself? This is interesting. I think yeah. Mary, you don't need to introduce yourself. We've already had you today, so I think you'll be the first person to give us a perspective on what you're talking about when you talk about innovation and technology. And my question to you is how do you see technology in general, and even probably you can touch on AI, which Nyandia is quite strong at as well. How do you see the changing role of PR professionals in Africa, beyond just the tools and platforms? In your own perspectives, how is it playing a role in today's PR world?
I'll start by quoting our big, beautiful report. We actually discovered that 40% of agencies in Africa are
just pause there.
Yeah.
There are people who have just heard the word report now. What report is that?
All right. As I said earlier, we came up with a Glasshouse PR report. This was a state of PR in Africa, where we interviewed agencies across 15 countries and thought leaders across Africa. The idea was to understand how is the industry growing, and we touched on different topics.
Excellent. Go ahead now.
So in that particular big, beautiful report, we discovered that 40% of agencies are already taking advantage of AI in Africa, but not necessarily with like analysis, etc. They were just taking advantage of AI in writing press releases, just the basic activities that you find in an agency. So I like talking about innovation and technology because it's my background. I studied technology previously, and people say tech is an enabler, but we are beyond technology being an enabler. It's it is at the epicenter of what we are doing in storytelling. So because of globalization, we cannot not ignore technology and AI. We have to come to a place where we leverage on it, not let it take advantage of our creativity, especially as PR people, but then understand how do I monitor, how do I do sentiment analysis to understand my coverage or to understand what people are saying about my brand. Yeah.
Excellent, lovely. And just before I pass the mic to the rest of the panelists, Bianca, I don't know whether Bianca, she's right there. Hello, Bianca.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm having massive FOMO of not being there in person. So I'm Bianca Beer. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager for First Women Insurance here in South Africa. So we provide a range of insurance products and benefits specifically designed for women. And a big benefit of our products is that a portion of the insurance premiums monthly also go towards the fight against gender-based violence, which is one of the top stresses for women in South Africa. So the PR piece forms part of our 360 marketing mix, and I'm very happy and excited to be part of the discussions today about the future of that.
Thank you so much, Bianca, and thank you for even making it virtually. We had a seat for you, as you can see from the stage, but we will continue on. We'll continue on. So let me come back to the panel and allow me, Nyandia, to skip you first, because I know you are still very deep in AI. I want to speak to Oliver first. Oliver, what are your thoughts when it comes to these matters we're talking about? The role of tech, what you see, and how is it changing the landscape when it comes to PR in your own perspective? Go ahead.
When I look at it, I've talked about tech and AI for a while now until I get fatigued by it. Because we look at it from a different perspective where we are looking at technology and innovation as something that is new. Yet this has been with us. If you look at Africa today, while everyone is bragging about digital currency, the first digital currency actually came from Kenya. So it's not that we have been short of innovation and technology, it's something that has existed. But when it comes now to public relations and how we communicate, I look at it in the perspective that you need to look at even the simplest of tools to be able to actually make an impact. And when I say this is that Africa is a very mobile-first environment. So most people are using mobile phones. Most of them are using SMSs. So how are you using SMSs to reach to the clients that need to be reached? How are you using WhatsApp, for instance, for you to be able to actually get those press releases out there, those reports out there, to understand what the customer really needs? So we have to start even from that basic level before we even actually start thinking of how do we use AI and the rest. Because yes, AI is helping us a lot. We can look at sentiments and see immediately what people are thinking about a product that we have launched today. Yeah, and so for me is that where we are at is that we have to ensure that we keep pace at the technology that exists, and also think about how do we harness the simplest of the technology, because that's where actually you get to the masses. And that's something that people, when we have this conversation, we look at it from the bigger picture, but not looking at that particular aspect of that a lot of Kenyans today are not on digital spaces. Actually, the people using the internet today are 35% of Kenyans. So what are you doing about the 65% of Kenyans, and what technology are you using to reach to those Kenyans? So those are some of the thoughts that come to mind when I think about technology and innovation.
Wow. Nyandia, I'm about to come to you, but I want to throw it to the audience first, then come to you. My beautiful audience, I have a question for you. We're talking about technology, AI, and how this innovation is really probably making PR or messing it up. And I want to throw that to you. Do you feel, especially AI, where Nyandia works, do you feel it is whether enhancing or really killing AI? And the reason why I'm asking that, I mean, killing PR, the reason why I'm asking that is because there are so many people who go to corporates and are not chatting with a human being, but they're chatting with a very nice person, just like how you engage ChatGPT and they never get to know it. So how many of us feel like PR is being enhanced? I want to see by show of hands, please, if you don't mind, that AI and tech enhances PR. Let me see by show of hands. Excellent. How many of us feel like we are killing the real PR? Let me see by show of hands. So what about the rest? Where are you? Just check it. The room is a bit divided in a way. Nyandia, you are quite pronounced when it comes to AI, the work that you're doing as well. What are your quick thoughts on this? We are talking innovation, technology in PR, especially African perspective. What are your thoughts?
So, for so long, growing up, from what I understood of PR and narrative building and owning as well, it was very top-down. So governments, corporates, and institutions are the ones who owned the narrative. Media was essentially what was termed as the gatekeeper to that narrative. Technology broke that model. That's why we have a former deputy president holding a press release on TikTok, and that's what's now currently happening. Social media has created distributed newsrooms, right? Even if you're in Kenya, multiple places in Africa, multiple countries that were undergoing revolutions of some sort were being documented first via TikTok or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, just some social media channel. And that is very interesting and amazing to note. Then came in WhatsApp groups and Telegram channels, which were the rallying points. These are the places that we were telling each other, polisi wako pale, don't go there. You guys, you need to take this route over here to avoid getting tear gassed. And I think that was brilliant. That then built into another perspective of how we're using innovation and technology in PR. Then now, AI and data, as Mary mentioned, when it comes to sentiment, it's very easy right now to measure sentiment by the second. And we've broken it down to where it's also understanding the local languages, and it's become very localized. So we're able, as we're about to enter, again, a political situation in Kenya, we're able to now break down sentiment based on language, on Sheng. You know, kwanza Sheng changes every day. So for me, technology was a very big equalizer between the access to information that we were getting from the essential narrative builders and gatekeepers to what now we could access for ourselves and how we would then propagate it.
Wow. All right. I love these thoughts that are coming in here. Bianca, I want to bring you in as well. What are your quick thoughts as well, happening down there on the South, your experience? What are your quick thoughts on our subject today, innovation, tech in PR, the African perspective?
I definitely resonate with the other panelists. We are a mobile-first, heavily mobile-first, and very active internet users down in South Africa. I think with any technology, with any tool, it's ultimately the human using it that decides whether it is the making of or the messing up of. What we definitely see in our space is this integration. Integration between, I guess, more low-tech opportunities or more used-to platforms, whether that's a Facebook group, a WhatsApp message, a broadcast message, all the way up to what is created from brands and how that is communicated. So for us, it is definitely an integrated mix of PR that is driving SEO value, that is part of the total mix, that we're looking for big, well-known publications to endorse and communicate about, in combination with the platforms that our users are very familiar with on a day-to-day basis. And often we're seeing when we're doing specific campaigns now is actually driving integration of both. We'll use them for different points within the journey and for different purposes to ultimately serve the women who receive it at the end of the day best.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much for those perspectives. I'd like to ask one bunch of a question to everybody here, but before I do that, I want to remind my audience, both online and here present, that we have our Slido. This is a conversation. We're not just here talking down, but we also want to hear your perspectives, your thoughts, and if you have any question for any panelist, I would appreciate if you can actually point it out, if it's to any specific person or generally to the entire panel. Feel free. I'll be checking with the Slido for that. Nyandia, I want to ask you the question first on this second round. AI, first of all, is expensive. we must appreciate that it's not just as cheap. And in fact, there's a nice way of hooking you in first. Then once you're hooked, there's a bill to pay. And so looking at the African continent, a lot of the innovations, especially on AI, are not coming from here. And the other day when I was listening to Strive Masiwa, one of the renowned around Africa, he was touting himself as starting the first AI center in Africa. So we are still somewhere behind. We have seen China come up with some. We are still using some technologies from the, let me use the word north. So what is your perspective? Because we need to not be left behind. We also want to be ahead. As you've heard Oliver say, we have been quite innovative in fintech, but this AI part, we look like we are almost catching up, and yet our industry needs to be part and parcel of the lead-in. What are your thoughts, quick thoughts about this, especially on the pricing aspect of it? What can we do?
So I think what's happening right now is that we do have guys who are building localized AI tools. I have a friend called Chido. She just got round 2 seed funding in LA for her startup, AI startup, that translates into 52 African languages as of now. So I think it's the part when we started this conversation where we mentioned as PR people, we need to talk about it more. We have artificial intelligence that is happening right where we are. We're just not more pronounced about it. When it comes to the story of pricing, I've also realized it's also in regards to how much exposure we're exposing ourselves to in regards to the tools that we're using. A good example is you will find people who are paying for multiple tools. So they're paying for GPT, they're paying for cloud, they're paying for and whatnot. Meanwhile, there are tools like Perplexity. When you pay for the pro version, it gives you access to all those tools from one interface, right? So you pay one bill, your $20, $30, you access any version of GPT, any version of cloud, any version of Manus, all Asian and American technology, so to say. So I think there is a problem that when it comes to what is being propagated, both from a PR comms perspective and from the point of the content that we are also consuming. Now, the thing with us, we're early adopters of technology. We don't fight it. We're the first guys to really embrace and push, and we're like, this is interesting, let's do this. We've seen the data that came out in regards to ChatGPT, where we say, ChatGPT does not, I don't speak like ChatGPT, ChatGPT speaks like me, especially from a Kenyan perspective, because of the training that it underwent when it was beginning in Kenya. So it is trained to sort of speak the sort of English that we have, the way we speak it. So we do not have, per se, an issue with creating AI. I think it is the propagation of the AI tools that have been created, because there are many. There are many. From Kenya, I know over 20 AI programs that have been created and applications, from fashion to education to children, every single aspect. But how many people know about it and how many are using it?
Wow, good question there. Bianca, let me bring you in as well. I like using the example of saying, let me get perspectives from the South. So Bianca, what are your thoughts? We're talking about budgets, infrastructure, they're limited. We are not ahead when it comes to these expensive global solutions. What are your thoughts in terms of adoption?
It's definitely a mixed bag on our side as well. There are a multitude of options and multitude of providers to look at, and then being able to compare like for like has been challenging for us. We predominantly use tools in the monitoring and sentiment space. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the likes of the brand watch, Meltwater, Sprout, where we're doing some CRM pieces through MailChimp as well. I think where it gets cost heavy for us is again multiple divisions or multiple partners using it for different things. So we then see AI tools coming through in the influencer space. We see AI tools coming through from a Google Analytics space and SEO space. And I think again coming back to that point about integration is the various channels, the various team members, the various partners that we work with ultimately all end up using various parts of tech and various AI tools. And the more we can consolidate or create a type of membership or access that brings those together, the more beneficial it will be. I think we're not there yet. We're definitely still using a layering those costs in with each of those tools or each of those providers.
I love that perspective, Bianca. In fact, I wanted to also ask you, probably on the side, but maybe I can ask it here. I left you having issues as a country with the North, if I may use the word straight point, United States. How is that faring on now that you're using their technology and you need more?
It's an ongoing challenge, I think, for all of us. But if you know a bit about South Africa, we always make a plan. No matter the situation, South Africans will always make a plan, and we generally like to use humour to cope and deal with it as well. So I'd say an ongoing challenge, but we're handling it in true South African style.
Okay, all right. Mary, I want to bring you in and Oliver, and I know you have your thoughts on that. Feel free to give an idea, whatever you have on it. But I also want to bring in another perspective of this conversation, the human connection. Because we know very well, and I have the privilege sometimes of sitting down with bank CEOs, especially when they are releasing their results, and I wonder why constantly they are reporting that they are increasing the number of branches. In this age where you can just tap and go, get your money, move on, I thought branches would go lower. I mean, notice even during COVID, the branches were not as much growing. But now, people want that human connection. And one of the CEOs told me that, listen, there are some clients who tell us, if you close this branch, forget about me. I'm getting my money out. I need to talk to someone, see someone who's just smiling. Probably they had a bad day in their homes and they need to just come and see someone. I don't know. But now I feel like PR, with this adoption of technology, we're going to lose this human connection. I just want to get your thoughts on that and where you see it in the future. As we say, we need to adopt. Nyandia is here, superpower, saying, let's do this. Mary, let me start with you.
All right. One of the things I like saying about AI, it's artificial intelligence. It's artificial. And I mean, coming from the coding background, you're the one who feeds it what you want it to bring out. So we used to have this term called garbage in, garbage out. It's a term in, when you're studying computers. So you give it what you want for it to bring it out what you want it to bring it out. So it's artificial. So number one, we cannot get rid of the human. And especially in our industry, when it comes to creativity, storytelling, definitely Africa, we cannot leave AI to tell the story. And AI will tell the story that is being fed. And as she said, when you look at ChatGPT and the report that came out the other day, and they said that Kenyans are the second in the world to use ChatGPT. And that's why now the ChatGPT is already speaking the I call it Kinglish or Kenyanese, Kinglish is Kikuyu English or Kenyanese. And this is because it brings out what you feed it. So we cannot let artificial intelligence lead us. We still need humans. But then, of course, we have to come to a place where we don't let technology take advantage of us, but we leverage on it, and then be the ones to guide or lead or determine where technology will be used and how technology will go. So human connections, they have to remain. Human creativity, specifically storytelling, has to remain. We cannot not let AI tell the story for us. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. We will not let them tell the story. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming to you for your questions. Feel free, because we're about to close the panel. So on our Slido, feel free to engage on that. Oliver, what are your thoughts, man? We are losing human touch.
Before I come to the human touch, I just want to go back to the question you asked whether...
Yes, infrastructure and money, yes.
Technology or AI is enhancing...
Yeah.
Or...
Killing.
suppressing our PR capabilities.
Yes.
When I look at it, if we are not careful, we are going to lose that art.
Finally, no, Oliver, pause there. I think I wanted someone who can be. I don't know. This guy is Nyandia is pro. I think I have someone for once who's saying, if we are not careful, something's going to happen. Sorry.
Yeah. So, for example, I work with a lot of both at Oxygen and outside Oxygen, I work with a lot of people and I work with a lot of brands. Someone will send you an executive brief for an interview, and you can totally tell from the word go, this is AI generated. No thought to it. Yeah? You get a press release and you wonder, okay, can't you actually see that you are not used your brain here? You know? So if we are not careful, we need to be careful on how we are adopting AI and technology. And the problem is that most institutions have not put in place policies and guidelines for how to adopt AI. I remember when I was still about 2 years back or 1 year back, we came up with a policy for newsrooms. I was in a panel a task force that was established by the Media Council of Kenya. And we came up with, they've never been implemented. We actually came up with them we finished that work in 2023. We're in 2025. It has never been adopted. Yeah? So we have to be careful because at the end of the day, and this comes to what now we are talking about losing the human touch, is that you lose it totally. Because why, for instance, you'll see a branch, a bank or a telco opening a physical branch is because people actually want that emotional connection. A lot of stories being told by brands have lost that emotional connection because we have left it to technology to tell the story. Yet, we can actually harness technology by, for instance, using social media for stories that have actually been told by human beings to be amplified. Yeah? In Africa, we are big with micro and nano influencers. And those are the actual people who are actually telling the stories. And so that is the way that we should be harnessing technology to help us amplify the stories that we are telling about whatever, whether it's an individual brand or a big brand, even let's say a telco like Safaricom or even government itself. And that's where they are failing. You find governments using posters that have they're talking about a borehole, but they are using an AI-generated image of the borehole. So how does that make sense? Yeah? So that the human ability to tell stories has been with us for ages. That's why Africans when you are growing up, you go to your grandmother's home, and as she cooks, you sit around the fire and she tell you stories. Because that is the cornerstone of communication, telling stories.
Now, you've brought in a very good perspective. In fact, can I read a comment here that I just come in? It was not even a question. Let's not fearmonger when it comes to AI. The outputs from AI are going to get better as the systems are trained more. It's a enabler. Embrace it. Hey, who is that? They didn't even write their name, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We are here. We are talking. It's a discussion. And one day, because this is being recorded, you shall look at yourself speaking. I don't know how this is going to be. I don't know. I want to hear Bianca's perspective as well on this. The human touch. Are you afraid of this? Are people talking about it? Bianca, what are your quick thoughts?
I'm with Team Oliver on this one. So we're starting a good discussion and debate here. But we definitely notice it. I think from our own perspective, if you think about insurance, it's an intangible product. So we are definitely doing actually more physical interactions, events, activations, because it's the moment that they can experience the brand. If you think about something like insuring your car, thinking about a house, the value of that is there, and you think about the value of that asset, you want to make sure that you are trusting that with somebody. And most people would like to know who they're entrusting that to. It's not just a phone number you can call. They want to have a real conversation. They want to see a human being. People buy from people. People trust people. People believe in people. to address that intangible product piece, to create that trust, reputation, and credibility. At the same time, there is absolutely a role for AI in terms of amplifying our story, for creating convenience for customers. So for us, it is very much an and strategy. We are highly focused around the emotion in the service we provide and the way that we connect with women. So I'm leaning towards Team Oliver here. Human connection is exceptionally important for us, but it's definitely an and in our overall mix.
Okay, now I have to throw it now to the entire audience. Guys, this is a good debate. It's a good debate. I'm not saying some people of AI are bad, but hey, how many of us are pro? The human connection is a must. We are, in fact, let me say Team Oliver. How many of us are Team Olivers here? Let me see by show of hands. Okay, Team Olivers, quite a number. There's some people who are doing this. What does this mean? When you I mean, help me. I want to see, okay, there's some. How many of us are like, whatever it comes, AI, we are ready to embrace and move on? Oh goodness. Okay. Okay, so the team is divided. Oliver, I did not vote. I'm neutral. I'm neutral. Just listen to this comment. Someone has written this. AI is similar to how you raise a child. The difference is that AI can harness 18 years of intelligence overnight. AI will do better than humans. That's your people. Team AI. Let me see whether there's a question here. What's the take of the panel on the call for a borderless Africa? And how can AI help analyze the challenges considering the earlier narrative? It's a deep one. So I think, Nyandia, I want to repeat this. Maybe you could pick it up there, or anybody else. What's the take of the panel on the call for a borderless Africa? And how can AI help analyze the challenges considering the earlier narrative? I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
I do think our superpower as Africans will be in a borderless Africa.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to the adoption and implementation and the policies that are being implemented for artificial intelligence. The European Union created their AI framework and policies years ago. Where was the African Union? Where are they even now? It's a question. It's still a question. Oliver has said that they created policies that were to be implemented to help guide this thing that is so big and this cat that is out of the bag, and it's very hard to now put it back into the bag. So the best thing we can do is what countries like Denmark are doing in regards to localizing their policies of AI and protecting its people when it comes to the data about Denmark that is propagated, shared, and collected by artificial intelligence. So there is a very interesting perspective there to look at. Another thing in regards to AI, there's a guy called the godfather of AI. I teach AI for CIM UK, and in teaching it, I've learned so much more in regards to history about artificial intelligence, the genesis of it in the 50s, 60s, 70s, before we get to where we are now. And he was asked yesterday, I think it was a CNN interview. His name is Geoffrey Hinton. He's a British-Canadian cognitive psychologist and computer scientist, which is funny because the two should not go hand in hand. But he was asked, because the cat is now out of the bag, how do we put the cat sort of inside the bag? His answer was very mind-blowing. It was to create a maternal AI. Yes. He said that may be the only way we will be able to control what AI is doing, is to now create a maternal version of that AI. This brings in the conversation of us Africans with our cultures and our values, which are very maternal, paternal, but we're very, we have very strict values, and there's a way that we carry ourselves. That is why we actually do need to propagate and create more of our own generative AI tools and applications. Because then, in creating that, being intrinsically African, we will feed who we are into these tools. So these tools will behave differently than the tools that we are currently using. A good measure of artificial intelligence in social media is TikTok. If you go to TikTok right now and search Africa, there is what you're going to see, which is a little bit heartbreaking. Yeah? But that is the narrative that has been built because the tool is not ours. It's not our tool. But then I feel like with African values, which is something that Microsoft is trying to do, interestingly, because they're building a station in Kajiado for artificial intelligence. They're trying to now figure out how to build an AI tool that is intrinsically African with African values and culture. I miss the days where any conversation was being had, whether by our grandmothers, or you're going to see some village elder, or you meet someone on the road who is just more on the older side. They would start with a proverb. You see it sometimes. Like in Kikuyu, you would find someone who starts a conversation with, "Shiakorira wa shoko." And then now the story continues. And you're like, what? Because that built the narrative of who we are with our values, with our beliefs, with our culture. It is the same thing that we need to feed AI to be able to put that cat back in the bag.
All right, I'm looking at Oliver. but maybe, Oliver, I also have a quick question for you here. I think you can tackle this. Someone asked this question. How do you overcome and your clients' brands? Okay, I think I have to rephrase it. How do you overcome your clients' brand or reality perception bubble, or the channels that you used, or perceived truths? I think someone here is already having trouble at their workplace. I don't know, they're going through things, right? It's okay, we're here to help you. That's why you're here, don't worry. Maybe you could touch on that. This is your bread and butter. How do you overcome this client's reality perception bubble? I think even as you give your thoughts on whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
First and foremost, let me say, I'm not against AI. just in case. I'm actually advocating for ethical and responsible use of AI. That is what we need. I am one of the earliest adopters of technology, even as a journalist. I was one of the earliest digital journalists in this country. So at technology, I know what technology can do. When we were in campus, we used to use we used to publish blogs on some platform called blogspot.com. I don't know how many know it here. We used to chat on kenyanietu.com, which had a Coca-Cola color. So technology for me is actually very important. But I think that question, I don't know whether it's related to technology or in general, but in general, what I think is to overcome some of these things is that sometimes clients don't know what they want. Yeah? And they will come to you with a brief that they actually themselves don't understand. And probably it was generated by AI. Anyway, what you need to do is get into a room and dissect whatever issue, whether it's reputational, whether it's awareness, whether it's just you just want to tell the story of a new product, whether it's about something that is coming up or in 2 years, because sometimes you want to prepare people mentally, so you start working early, because there are such situations that happen. Mm-hmm. So for you to do that is that you need to get into a room and be honest with each other. This crisis that we are facing is caused by A, B, C, D. We have options 1, 2, and 3, but what matters the most is how will we be perceived from whatever option that we take. Because sometimes PR is about perception. It's about how people see you and how they take you. So the kind of messaging that you put out there is what people will decide to judge you on. And so, for me, I always advocate that get into a room, discuss. Say we actually don't know. We all don't know, but we can get a solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, get into a room. We veered off for you, the person who is here for you to have a good time. I'm glad you did it anonymously. Now, I need very first questions, 30 seconds, so that we can close this panel. Mary, this is for you. Is technology democratizing access to information and opportunities or widening the gap due to costs of tools and bandwidth and the likes?
It's making the information more available and not widening the gap. And when you talk about the cost of tools, I think Bianca talked about tools like Sport Social, Hootsuite, Brand, Watch, etc. And we have a new one called Prevail in Africa that are available for people to actually use. But then when you look at technology, we actually get in too much information. We need these tools to help us get the specific information that we need. And I don't think cost is an issue at this juncture. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me read this comment. That we order products from Jumia. For the ones who are joining us online, is one of the platforms that gives us products when we order them. We order products from Jumia and they are delivered without speaking or talking to anyone. Their system can tell purchase patterns and guide communications and products. I think that's Team Your AI. That's one of the team members there. And then I think there's a final question, and probably Bianca or Nyandia, you can take this. On ChatGPT, CEO's sentiments, or on ChatGPT CEO sentiments that the platform doesn't legally protect information shared. What systems can we build to ensure we are using AI wisely? Nyandia and Bianca, we can take that.
Oh gosh,
Go ahead.
yeah. Whew, my goodness. I hope nobody here who is in PR heavily does not use a local model of AI. Download local models in your laptops. Make sure you have a good laptop. Download the local models. Do not use the online versions of artificial intelligence, and you're handling some of the most sensitive data that your brands have. Having a local model allows you to still play around with these artificial intelligence tools, but the data is yours and you host it. It's not live. So that is one of the ways to do it. The second way is to use case scenarios. Instead of giving it, especially in sensitive situations, I've seen guys feeding doctors things, reports and stuff to AI with their names and hospital, and I don't think that is I don't think that's okay. I think that's a little bit too much. But use case scenarios. So if you're not understanding something and it is sensitive, use a case scenario. It's your case scenario, you know that. But then say, Mary in Poland is experiencing this issue. Then that way, because artificial intelligence uses you as the case, they will route it to you. So the best thing you can is push this as a narrative as opposed to always owning. I am going through this, my brand is going through this. But most importantly, use local models of artificial intelligence. As long as you have a really good laptop, you can easily download and access versions of those local models. In your brands, if you're people who have implemented artificial intelligence into your brands, into your ecosystems of running your companies, there are very specific cybersec experts who come and do pen tests on these AI tool channels to ensure that guys cannot access your data through that sort of side. Now, in the same way, you will handle the question about Sam Altman saying that they are not bound by law. So use case scenarios. Sam Altman is actually not the worst tool. Grok has a version that creates a girlfriend on a tap, which is accessible to children and everyone else. So I think more so it's a matter of personal perspective and personal protection of your own data.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Bianca, any quick thoughts on that? And maybe as you give your thoughts on that, you could also give your parting shot on this conversation.
Absolutely. So I think that was some great expert advice when it comes to the technology and the tools. We definitely apply the same methodology in our space. I think to layer on the piece around how you handle that within a team is back to communication. It's about having the policy, the rules, the understanding, the vision for what roles the tool play within your organization before you use it. And definitely we don't put any personal information in when we are doing any type of work with AI. So not things like ID numbers, cell phone numbers, etc. So yeah, to close out at that point, I would just say to have the additional internal conversation new ways of work, look what remains the same. There will be pieces that remain constant throughout, and often that is the human being, the human emotion, or the human story, and use that as your anchor points.
Thank you so much for that. Oliver, let me start with you.
So my parting shot is that as we continue to embrace technology in our work, especially as communicators, it's important for us to live with the reality that we are not as connected as we believe we are. For instance, if I give the situation in Kenya today, is that if you look at the recent ICT uptake report that was released by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and the Communication Authority, you find that rural Kenya is still relying a lot on radio and TV. Yet, brands are spending more time online, where people are actually not. Yeah? So it's important for us to ensure that we strike a balance, even as we are guiding our the brands that we work with, the clients that we have. As PR and communication professionals, we have to guide them, not to think that technology or the internet has come to solve all their reach problems. They can still reach people on traditional media, and it's still as important as it was, it's still as important as the internet is today. And so my parting shot is that as we embrace technology, let's also factor in the reality that we live in. And that's why data is very important. Let's keep sharing data and internalizing data that is released. As they say, in God we trust, everyone else must bring data.
All right. Nyandia?
Okay, so I think the biggest parting shot for me in regards to artificial intelligence specifically is call for policyfication. There's a word like that. It's important to have these conversations online until your government pick it up and ensure that it's implemented. Because right now, we're at a stage where you need to have the AI conversation with your child. It's like that other conversation that you're always dreading. Because your children are discovering artificial intelligence by themselves, and it is a little scary if you allow it to go that route, as opposed to you guiding, in the use of artificial intelligence. So call for policies, start prepping for SEOs and internal policies as well in regards to things like deepfakes, in regards to the use of AI as well to create all sorts of news, all sorts of things that are going to happen. So it's good to stay ready. It's good to stay anchored in truth. And I think we should not forget empathy, which is at the heart of it all, which is what I think will connect us and keep us true in the long term.
All right, before Mary gives her parting shot, Nyandia, someone asked, could you give an example of a local AI model? Someone here is already in need of one.
Okay, let me see. So you can try it. Kitabu, first of all, is brilliant. If you've accessed Kitabu with Tony Ndungo. There's a fashion one. I'll put them right now on my socials. I have a full list that is pretty brilliant. But Kitabu
so we
is
just
one really
search
cool
you?
one. Yes.
We just search the name?
Yeah.
There you go.
Nyandia
There you
Gachago.
go.
I'll put them up in like 5 minutes once I sit.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. Parting shot, Mary, on this.
I just wanted to add that when we think of technology, we tend to go the AI way.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of technology that, including mobiles. So when we look at Africa, mobile has penetrated in more homes than any other continent, I believe. And just to kind of tell Oliver, I think that USSD is also technology, and we cannot say we are not yet there. Because when you think of mama mbogas, and mama mbogas for them that are not from this country are the women who sell products in the market. They use a lot of mobile phones without internet, but there's still technology that you can use to reach to them. So we are not where we used to be. I think in 2025, we've really grown in terms of mobile penetration, in terms of internet penetration, yet we are not where the West is. But because we are not yet there and things move quickly, because again, technology, things are changing so quickly. So we have to be ready, and that's why we are having these conversations, to be ready to understand how do we leverage on, whether it's AI, what we've not thought of. And my pattern shot would be, it's artificial. So it still needs me to come and tell it what to do. So it's up to us as well as PR practitioners, as storytellers, to raise our game, to come to a place where we are not, we are the ones telling it what to do, how do you want to shape the African voice? How do you want to shape the story of Africa? How do you want to shape the future of communication? The power is in our hands as PR practitioners. Thank you.
Wow, power is in our hands. Thank you so much. Let's appreciate my panelists with a clap. Thank you so much for that lively start of a session.